Why are we so obsessed with overnight success? We celebrate the hack, the shortcut, the cheat code. We pore over articles about the 5-minute morning routine that will make us a CEO, the one simple trick to master a language, the secret algorithm to go viral. We have built an entire culture, a multi-billion-dollar industry around the fantasy of achieving the result without ever enduring the process. We want the crown without the battle. We want the wisdom without the study. We want the mastery without the practice. But what if this obsession isn't new? What if this desperate, gnawing hunger for an ultimate shortcut is one of humanity's oldest and most dangerous? Psychological traps. There is an ancient story in American folklore that warns of exactly this. It doesn't take place in a grand castle or a celestial courtroom. It happens on a dark, dusty, rural road, at the one place where all choices intersect, the crossroads. Its most famous protagonist isn't a king or a god, but a young, unknown musician, the legend of Robert Johnson, a man who, as the story goes, was a mediocre guitar player at best. He vanishes for a short time and then reappears, possessing a masterful, almost supernatural skill that would change the face of music forever. His secret? He took the shortcut. He went to the crossroads at midnight and made a deal with the devil. Welcome to Hindsight Lore. In our previous exploration of Faust, we analyzed the intellectual's bargain, the scholar who, after a lifetime of study, felt he knew nothing and wagered his soul for infinite experience. Today, we analyze a myth that is far more raw, more desperate, and perhaps far more relevant to our modern hustle culture. The story of the Crossroads is not just a ghost story. It is a timeless psychological blueprint, a terrifyingly accurate metaphor for a very specific modern temptation, the desire for unearned mastery. We will not be debating whether Robert Johnson literally met a demon. The hindsight lore of this myth is infinitely more profound. We are here to decode the strategic and psychological price of that bargain. Why, in all these myths, from Faust to the Crossroads, is the price for the shortcut always your soul? To understand the bargain, we must first understand the place. The myth of the Crossroads is not just a location, it is a condition. This story was forged in the specific cultural crucible of the American Deep South, the Mississippi Delta, in the early 20th century. This was a world for many African Americans defined by systemic oppression, Jim Crow laws, and crippling poverty. This is a critical piece of the puzzle. This was a world where, for many, the rules of society were explicitly rigged. Working hard, paying your dues, staying in your lane, these were the maxims of the establishment. But they did not guarantee survival, let alone success. When the system itself seems designed for you to fail, the appeal of a supernatural alternative becomes overwhelmingly powerful. The crossroads, in this context, is not just a physical intersection of two dirt roads. It is a profound psychological and symbolic space. It is the point of absolute, agonizing choice. It is the moment where your ambition, the burning desire to be seen, to be heard, to matter, slams head-on into your desperation. The cold, hard realization that the conventional paths are blocked. It is the spiritual no man's land where you are most vulnerable, where you have exhausted all legitimate options and are finally willing to consider the illegitimate. And it is here, in this moment of total vulnerability, that the devil appears. In the hindsight lore, the devil of the crossroads is not a red-skinned demon with a pitchfork. That is a medieval caricature. No, this devil, this dark figure, is something far more intimate. It is the personification of the shortcut itself. It is the universe's cynical answer to your desperate prayer. It is the voice that whispers, "You are right. The system is rigged. The game is unfair. Hard work is for fools." And then it makes the offer. You can skip all that, it says. You can bypass the decades of thankless practice. You can have the fame, the skill, the success right now. All it will cost you is your soul. This is the bargain. The temptation is not just the prize. It's the speed. It's the elimination of the one thing we have come to despise, the process. The myth of the crossroads is a warning that when ambition meets desperation, without a grounding in integrity, we risk making a deal that we cannot undo. But this brings us to the central question of our analysis. Why the soul? Why that specific price? What does this soul truly represent in the cold, hard calculus of modern ambition? Because in this exchange, soul is not a theological concept. It is a strategic one. The legend of Robert Johnson is the perfect case study. He supposedly exchanged his eternal soul for temporary, earthly mastery. He wanted to be the greatest bluesman alive. The devil tuned his guitar, and in that moment, the bargain was sealed. What did he get? He got the product. He got the flawless technique, the haunting voice, the ability to channel a power that mesmerized audiences. What did he lose? He lost his soul. Let's decode this. In the strategic framework of Hindsight Lore, what is the soul of an artist, an entrepreneur, a leader, or a human being? Your soul is the sum of your process. It is your authenticity, the unique voice you develop only after thousands of hours of trial and error. It is your resilience, the wisdom you gain, not from your successes, but from your failures, the scars that teach you what not to do. It is your integrity, the person you become in the act of overcoming the struggle. The process is what builds the soul. The product is merely the evidence of it. The devil's bargain, the trap of the crossroads, is that it offers you the product while destroying the process. It gives you the evidence of mastery without the experience of it. You get the applause, but you don't know why. You can play the notes, but you didn't learn the music. You are a hollow vessel, a perfect imitation of a master who has mastered nothing. This is the psychological equivalent of an athlete who takes steroids. They gain the product, the unnatural muscle, the record-breaking speed, but they lose their soul, their integrity, their health, and the entire meaning of the sport, which was supposed to be about human endeavor, not chemical engineering. Their victory is hollow because it was unearned. We see this in the corporate world, in the blitzscaling startup that achieves a billion-dollar valuation by burning billions in venture capital. It takes the shortcut to market dominance. It has the product a massive user base, but it often skips the process of building a sustainable business, a healthy culture, or an ethical framework. The result? We see mass layoffs, toxic workplaces, and catastrophic collapses. The soul of the company was never forged in the fires of real, sustainable growth. Think of the modern Crossroads deal, a content creator who, desperate for fame, buys 1 million fake followers. What have they gained? They have the product, the big, impressive number, the appearance of success. What have they lost? Their soul. Their authenticity is gone. They cannot post what they truly love. They must post what they think will appease their fake, robotic audience. Their resilience is non-existent. They have never learned how to handle real criticism or build a real community. The first negative comment from a real person shatters them. Their integrity is compromised. They are now trapped, forced to live a lie, spending all their energy maintaining the illusion of success, rather than engaging in the ACT of creation. They have the crown, but they are a puppet king. Their soul is forfeit. The shortcut has become a cage. The legend of Robert Johnson ends in this exact cage. He achieved the fame he craved, but his life was short, violent, and haunted. The story says he died in his 20s, mysteriously poisoned. He was a master of his instrument, but he was not the master of his own life. He skipped the process of becoming, and in doing so, he sacrificed the wisdom that only the process can provide. He gained the whole world, but lost himself. This is the fundamental price of the shortcut. You do not gain mastery. You gain dependency. You become dependent on the devil, on the algorithm, on the purchase followers, on the lie. You are no longer in control. The shortcut is a surrender of agency. This tension between the unearned product and the earned process is a theme that echoes across nearly every myth we have ever analyzed on this channel. The Crossroads myth is not an outlier. It is the most modern, most brutal expression of this timeless conflict. Let us contrast this bargain with the heroes who chose the process. Look at our analysis of David versus Goliath. David's victory was not a miracle. It was not a shortcut. When King Saul offered him the Crossroads bargain, here, take my armor, take my sword, look like a champion right now, David refused. Why? Because his mastery was earned. His soul was his own. He had already endured the process. Spending thousands of solitary hours in the fields, mastering the sling, fending off lions and bears, his skill was authentic. It was his. He chose his own hard-won process over the king's unearned product. He knew that Goliath's armor was a liability, not an asset, precisely because his own process had taught him the value of speed and agility. Look at Anansi the spider. When he went to Niame, the sky god, to buy all the stories in the world, he was given an impossible price. He was given a crossroads choice: give up or cheat. Anansi did neither. He didn't find a demon to capture the python, the leopard, the hornets, and the fairy for him. He engaged in the process of strategy. He analyzed the psychology of each opponent. He defeated the python's ego, the leopard's desperation, the hornet's panic, and the fairy's impulse. Anansi's victory was a triumph of process. He didn't just win the stories. He earned the wisdom to understand them. Now, look at those who took the deal. Faust, the scholar, was offered the ultimate intellectual shortcut. What was the result? The process of his bargain led directly to the ruin of everything he touched. Most tragically, the life of Gretchen. His unearned experience came at the cost of his humanity. He had all the world's knowledge, but no wisdom, because he had skipped the process of learning. King Midas demanded the ultimate financial shortcut, the golden touch. He got the product, infinite gold, but it destroyed the purpose, his ability to live, to eat, to love. He, too, had to beg for the process, the simple, cleansing water of the river, to undo the horror of the product. The Crossroads myth is the most terrifying of them all, because it suggests that sometimes there is no river to wash it all away. Sometimes the bargain is final, the process. The long, slow, often painful journey is not the obstacle to mastery. The process is the mastery. The grind is not something to be skipped. The grind is the point. It is the mechanism that builds the psychological and emotional muscle necessary to handle the success when it finally arrives. In psychology, there is a concept called flow, developed by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It's the state of being completely immersed in an activity where time seems to disappear and your skills are perfectly matched to the challenge. This is the soul in action. The grind, the practice, the process is the only known gateway to this state of flow. Flow is where true satisfaction lies. It's the deep, intrinsic reward of doing the work. The devil's bargain, the shortcut, is the ultimate thief of flow. It promises you the product, but it robs you of the satisfaction. You get the reward, but you are denied the meaning. A shortcut doesn't just bypass the work, it bypasses the wisdom. And success, without wisdom, is the most dangerous, self-destructive force on earth. But we must be honest. There is a reason the Crossroads myth is so seductive. There is a reason that, even knowing the price, a part of us still wants the shortcut. That reason is burnout. We are living in an age of endemic, soul-crushing burnout. Our modern culture says it values the process, but it only rewards the product. It demands 60-hour work weeks, constant availability, perfect social media personas, and relentless, grinding hustle, often for stagnant wages and fleeting recognition. We are, in our own way, standing in the Mississippi Delta. We are playing a rigged game. We are told to trust the process, but we see that the process itself seems designed to break us. We are told to put in the 10,000 hours, but we are drowning in debt, anxiety, and the crushing pressure of comparison. The devil of the crossroads finds his easiest prey, not in the lazy, but in the exhausted. He finds the entrepreneur who has poured 10 years of his life into a dream, only to face bankruptcy. He finds the artist who has created beautiful work in obscurity, only to be ignored. He finds the employee who has done everything right, only to be passed over for promotion. And in that moment of profound burnout, the shortcut no longer feels like a sin. It feels like justice. It feels like the only logical way to balance the scales. This is the devil's greatest alibi. He uses our own culture's toxic obsession with results to sell us a product that destroys our souls. He is the whispering voice that says, "Why are you working so hard? Don't you see? The game is rigged. The only way to win is to cheat. Just this once. Take the shortcut. You've earned it." We have created a system that makes the Crossroads bargain not just tempting, but rational. So, if the legitimate process is broken and the illegitimate shortcut is a trap, what is the way out? The myth does not offer an easy answer, but the hindsight lore, the strategic wisdom, is this: the trap is the binary. The trap is believing there are only two choices: grind yourself to dust in a broken system, or sell your soul to beat it. The true masters, the Davids, the Anansis, they show us a third path. They refuse the binary. They don't play the rigged game, and they don't sell their soul. They change the game. David didn't fight Goliath's fight. He created a new fight, a battle of projectiles, not armor. Anansi didn't use Niame's power. He used his own power, psychology. The way out is not to trust the process, the one society has handed you, if you know it is broken. The way out is to trust your process. It is to build your own game, a game where your authentic skills, your hard-won wisdom, and your integrity are the very tools that lead to victory. It is to find a way to make the process itself the reward, to find that state of flow, and to detach your self-worth from the culture's hollow metrics of success. This is infinitely harder, but it is the only path where you get to keep your soul. We are all standing at our own crossroads. In our careers, in our relationships, in our creative lives, we are faced with the deafening noise of overnight success. We see the influencers with their rented mansions, the crypto millionaires who appeared from nowhere, the viral sensations who seem to have skipped the line. The temptation to find our shortcut is immense. But the Crossroads Myth, the story of Robert Johnson, stands as a timeless warning. It is not a simple, moralistic fable about cheating. It is a profound, strategic analysis of value. It teaches us that any success that is not built on an authentic, earned process is an illusion. It is a house of cards. It is a feast of ash. It is the golden statue of Midas's daughter, perfect, priceless, and dead. The devil at the crossroads is not a monster hiding in the shadows. He is in our boardrooms, promising profits by cutting ethical corners. He is in our social media algorithms, promising fame in exchange for our authenticity. He is in every get-rich-quick scheme, promising wealth in exchange for our critical thinking. He is the siren song of the product, trying to make us forget the profound, irreplaceable value of the process. The Hindsight Lore. The final, chilling wisdom of this myth is that the bargain is always offered. The shortcut is always there, glittering in the moonlight. And when that figure steps out of the shadows and offers you everything you've ever wanted for a price you cannot possibly comprehend, you will be the only one there to answer.